Laguna Niguel, California, March 24, 1972. 2:13 a.m. Motion sensor flickers inside the United California Bank. Police dispatch notes a false signal. Across the roof, 6 men in dark coveralls work under red light. Drills hum, dust falls, foam blocks dampen sound. Then, a muted blast. Concrete cracks, steel door buckles. Inside are hundreds of safe deposit boxes holding millions in cash, jewelry, and documents. In 1972, 6 men from Ohio crossed 2,000 miles to rob a bank vault the size of a garage. They planned it like engineers, executed it like soldiers, and vanished like ghosts. The United California Bank Heist, 1972. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. Amil Dinsio, 46, professional thief from Youngstown, Ohio. Background in safe-cracking and explosives since the 1950s. Born into poverty during the Depression. Father worked in steel mills until black lung disease killed him at 42. Mother cleaned houses for wealthy families on the north side of town. Amil learned early that honest work paid little and lasted less. First arrest at 16 for breaking into a hardware store. Juvenile detention taught him about locks, alarms, and criminal networks. Released at 18, he joined the Army during the Korean War. Military training in demolitions and engineering. Learned precision, discipline, and how to follow complex plans under pressure. Discharged in 1954, returned to Youngstown. The steel industry was booming, but Amil chose a different path. Small-time burglaries led to bigger scores. Safe-cracking jobs for local bookmakers. Explosives work for loan sharks who needed bank boxes opened quietly. By 1960, he was known throughout Ohio as a specialist. He leads a small family crew: brother James, nephew Harry, cousin Ronald, 2 outsiders, Phil and Charles. They grew up in steel towns, worked union jobs, and learned precision. James operates heavy machinery at Republic Steel. Harry drives trucks for construction companies. Ronald works electrical installations. Phil and Charles met Amil in county jail during the 1960s. They trust each other because blood and shared experience create loyalty. No outsiders means no informants. No random recruits means no unknown variables. Family business stays in the family. Criminal tradition passed down like trade skills or ethnic recipes. By 1971, Amil was restless, aging, short on money, still obsessed with the perfect score. Younger criminals use guns and violence. He prefers planning and technique. But banks install better alarms, hire security companies, and coordinate with police departments. Old methods face new obstacles. Steel mills lay off workers as foreign competition increases. Union jobs disappear. Legitimate income shrinks while criminal opportunities grow more dangerous. Amil needs one major score to retire permanently. Something big enough to last the rest of his life. Rumors spread through Midwest bars. A California bank holding political money linked to Washington. The story reaches Youngstown through a Cleveland fence who deals in stolen bonds. A bank in Orange County. Safe deposit boxes rented by men with government connections. Cash stored off the books for campaign contributions and payoffs. To the crew, it's a myth and an opportunity. Political money means federal investigation if caught, but it also means millions in untraceable cash. No serial numbers to track, no legitimate owners to identify stolen property. If it's real, it's worth the risk. If it's not, they still hit a bank with valuable contents. They start planning with the methodical approach that made Amil successful for 20 years. No rushed decisions, no emotional choices, cold calculation of risks, resources, and rewards. Early 1972, Dinsio flies to Los Angeles using a false name. Identity purchased from a forger in Detroit for $500. Complete documentation including driver's license, social security card, and credit history. Name matches a real person who died in car accident 3 years earlier. He rents a Buick at LAX, drives south on I-405 to Orange County. The landscape amazes him. Endless suburbs, strip malls, palm trees, and sunshine. Nothing like industrial Ohio. Wealth everywhere but casual, relaxed. People dress differently, Talk differently, live differently. The Target, a modern branch of United California Bank, recently built. Low security after hours. Single-story building on a commercial strip between gas stations and fast food chains. Standard bank design for suburban California. Flat roof, concrete walls, large windows facing parking lot. He studies roof access from adjacent buildings. Alarm box mounted on the exterior wall, protected by metal housing but accessible with simple tools. Patrol routes documented by sitting in Buick for 3 nights, noting police car schedules. Local officers drive past twice per shift. No foot patrols, no security guards after closing. The building sits isolated enough for night work, but visible enough to avoid suspicion during day. Perfect target for crew that values preparation over improvisation. Dinsio takes photographs with a telephoto lens, measures distances with a surveyor's wheel, times traffic patterns during different hours. But underneath lies a vault built like a bunker. Reinforced steel door weighing 2 tons. Concrete walls are 3 feet thick. Motion sensors and magnetic alarms connected to telephone monitoring service. Time delay locks that prevent opening even with correct combinations during night hours. What Dinsio sees is a puzzle requiring specific solutions. Brute force won't work. Speed won't work. Traditional safe cracking techniques won't work. But engineering knowledge and controlled explosives might work. If they can get precise measurements and proper materials. What he needs are blueprints. They obtain construction plans through a contact in a Cleveland architecture firm. The man works nights as security guard, has access to filed permits and building documents. For $200, he provides rolled papers showing every wire, every beam, every measurement. Risk minimal because documents appear to be routine research for insurance or renovation purposes. Roof composition, reinforced concrete over vault chamber, 40x 20 feet, 6 inches of concrete over steel mesh over wooden supports. Vulnerable to shape charges placed precisely. Alarm wiring, single loop magnetic sensor connected to phone line. Can be defeated by cutting external connections before entry. Vault door mechanism, time delay lock with backup manual override, but the roof entry bypasses the door entirely. Safe deposit boxes line walls in rows, protected only by individual locks. Standard residential-style keys, not high-security systems. Hundreds of boxes accessible once inside the vault chamber. The crew studies plans for weeks in the basement of Amil's house. They calculate load-bearing points, explosive placement, and entry angles. Each man brings specific expertise. James understands concrete construction from steel mill work. Harry knows explosives from mining jobs. Ronald maps electrical systems. Phil and Charles practice rope techniques. They measure drill bits against concrete thickness. Test commercial dynamite fuses with stopwatches. Study Orange County road atlases for escape routes. Research California law enforcement procedures and FBI response times. Plan every detail that can be planned. Prepare for variables that cannot be controlled. 6 men flew to California on March 17th under aliases. Commercial flights, different airlines, different departure times. No group bookings that might create suspicion. No shared hotels or rental cars. Each man carries luggage containing normal civilian clothes and fake identification documents. They rent 2 apartments in Mission Viejo using cash deposits and forged references. Middle-class suburban complex with parking garage and swimming pool. Neighbors include families, retirees, and young professionals. Perfect cover for temporary residents who want to blend into the community. Used cars purchased from different dealers with cash payments. Ford van for equipment transport. Buick sedan for surveillance and escape. Dodge pickup for backup. All registered under false names with temporary California addresses. Tools shipped in sealed drums marked as construction supplies. Return address shows legitimate construction company in Toledo with cooperation of owner who asks no questions for $1,000 payment. Contents declared as mining equipment for geological survey work. Items include industrial drills, commercial dynamite sticks, electronic timers, sound dampening foam blocks, climbing rope, breathing masks, crowbars, hand tools, bleach for cleanup, and canvas bags for transport. Everything legal to purchase individually, but suspicious in combination. They practice cuts on concrete slabs behind industrial buildings in Anaheim, test explosive charges, measure blast effects, time entry procedures, work only at night when the area is deserted, clean up debris and evidence after each session. Dinsio drills discipline into the crew. No booze, no calls home, no flash spending, no restaurants where waitresses remember faces, no bars where alcohol loosens tongues, no contact with locals who might recall conversations. They buy groceries separately at different stores, eat in apartments, and watch television news about Vietnam and Watergate. They are ghosts living among the suburbs of Orange County, temporary residents who leave no impression, create no memories, establish no connections. Professional criminals who understand that success requires invisibility. Meanwhile, local rumors circulate about vault contents. Nixon campaign officials supposedly rent boxes under fake names. Democratic Party investigators allegedly store documents about Republican fundraising. Washington lobbyists hide cash from illegal corporate contributions. Stories grow with each telling, spreading through political circles and criminal networks. Briefcases full of campaign money, envelopes marked with White House addresses, safety deposit boxes accessed by men in government cars. Truth becomes impossible to separate from speculation. The crew believes millions sit unguarded behind steel and concrete. Political scandal money is too sensitive for normal banking. Cash that cannot be reported stolen because it cannot be acknowledged as legitimate. Perfect target for professional thieves who understand Washington's dirty secrets. Motivation turns from financial necessity to obsession with historical significance. They imagine themselves as men who expose corruption by stealing corrupt money. Robin Hood fantasy mixed with anti-government resentment common among working-class criminals during the Watergate era. On March 24th, they loaded the Buick with drills and dynamite and drove into history. Friday night, 11:47 p.m. They parked behind the bank in shadows between streetlights. Orange County sleeps early. Office workers home with families, teenagers at drive-in movies, police patrolling residential areas where crimes usually happen. The commercial district is empty except for occasional traffic on the main road. Fast food restaurants closed. Gas stations are automated. Perfect timing for unobserved entry. They cut power to the alarm system by clipping the external junction box with bolt cutters. Simple procedure taking 30 seconds. The backup battery should trigger an alert to the monitoring company, but the system fails due to California heat and age. Corroded connections prevent signal transmission. Bank management later blames inadequate maintenance and humid coastal climate for equipment failure. Climb roof using aluminum extension ladders stolen from construction site. Each man carries specific equipment. Amil directs placement. James operates drill. Harry prepares explosives. Ronald monitors for police. Phil and Charles handle rope and foam. Lay dense foam sheets to muffle drilling sound. Material comes from an aircraft manufacturing plant in Akron, obtained through contact in the defense industry. Acoustic properties designed to absorb jet engine noise, perfect for deadening construction sounds in a suburban environment. Position foam carefully over a 10-foot square above the vault center. Drill pilot holes at measured intervals. Each hole is precisely placed according to architectural drawings. Too close together and concrete cracks unpredictably. Too far apart and explosive force disperses ineffectively. Insert charges into drilled holes. Commercial dynamite designed for mining operations. Stable, predictable, available through legitimate construction suppliers. Fuses timed to detonate simultaneously for maximum effect with minimum noise. At 2 a.m., the blast drops concrete plug the size of door into the vault below. Explosion muffled by foam padding and contained by surrounding concrete. Sound carries only a few hundred yards, dissipating in industrial noise from nearby freeway traffic. Heat sets off the fire sprinkler system, then dies as the emergency shuts off automatically. Smoke rises into California darkness, but disperses quickly in the coastal breeze. No visible flames, no sustained burning, no obvious signs of disturbance from street level. The alarm remains silent because the phone connection was severed before entry. The monitoring company receives no signal. Police dispatch notes earlier false alarm, but assigns no patrol car for physical inspection. Standard procedure for electronic malfunctions during late-night hours. They descend by mountaineering rope into a vault chamber. Flashlights reveal rows of safe deposit boxes lining walls like metal filing cabinets. Stacks of bond envelopes on the central table. Cash bundles wrapped in rubber bands. Gold coins in felt bags. Jewelry in velvet cases. More wealth than any crew member has seen. Hundreds of boxes containing decades of customer deposits. Family heirlooms, business documents, emergency cash reserves, investment certificates. Legitimate savings mixed with rumored political money. They pry open boxes with crowbars and electric drills for 4 hours. No finesse now, no careful preservation of evidence. Speed matters more than silence because discovery becomes increasingly likely as dawn approaches. Each open box spills contents onto the vault floor. Cash bundles totaling millions, some in standard bank wrapping, some in plain envelopes, some loose in boxes. Gold coins from various periods and countries. Jewelry ranging from family rings to expensive watches. Negotiable bonds issued by corporations and government agencies. Rough count reaches $9 million in easily transportable assets. More money than the crew expected, more than seems real to men accustomed to modest scores, more than necessary for a comfortable retirement, enough to change lives permanently. Pack everything valuable into canvas mail bags stolen from Cleveland Postal Facility. Each bag holds what a factory worker earns in a decade. Weight requires 2 men for lifting. Contents represent lifetime accumulation of wealth by dozens of families. They wipe surfaces with rags soaked in bleach solution, remove fingerprints from tools, doorknobs, boxes, anything touched during entry. Professional criminals understand that physical evidence convicts more defendants than witness testimony. No prints means no identification. Leave behind only metal dust from drilling and concrete fragments from explosion. Debris that reveals methods but not identity, evidence of professional work without personal connections. Perfect crime requires perfect cleanup. At 4:45 a.m., they load bags into vehicles and drive north on Interstate 5 before dawn. Sunrise over Orange County hides them in early commuter traffic. Office workers heading to Los Angeles. Students driving to colleges. Families starting weekend trips to mountains or beaches. The crew appears normal in the stream of California traffic. Tired men in ordinary cars carrying gym bags and tool cases. Nothing to distinguish them from legitimate travelers. No high-speed chases, no dramatic escapes, no Hollywood endings. By 7 a.m., they reach a motel in Costa Mesa and begin counting stolen money. Systematic inventory of cash, coins, jewelry, bonds. Division into 6 equal shares, plus expense fund for travel and supplies. Each man receives more than he earned in the previous 5 years combined. 9 million total. No alarms triggered, no pursuit organized, no investigation started. Perfect silence that suggests perfect crime. They burn clothes worn during heist, wipe tools with alcohol, pack everything in new suitcases bought at different department stores. Success breeds confidence that proves dangerous. They believe skill and planning guarantee safety. They forget that human behavior creates patterns. They ignore warnings that perfect crimes exist only until someone makes a mistake. For 6 weeks, the vault stood open before anyone looked inside. April 3rd, 1972. Janitor smells smoke residue near vault area during routine Monday morning cleaning. The sprinkler system activated over the weekend, but building management assumes minor electrical problems. The maintenance worker notices wet carpet and damaged ceiling tiles. The bank manager investigates and discovers a hole in the ceiling like a meteor crater. Descends ladder into vault, finds floor littered with concrete dust and empty safe deposit boxes. Contents scattered, boxes pried open, obvious signs of major theft. Calls police immediately, then bank headquarters, then federal authorities. Initial damage assessment reveals millions missing from hundreds of boxes. Customers contacted throughout the day to inventory losses. Many cannot remember exact contents because items stored for years without inspection. Insurance claims will take months to process and verify. The FBI Los Angeles field office assumes jurisdiction within hours. Federal crime because bank deposits are insured by a government agency. Interstate aspects likely given the professional nature of the entry method. National security implications possible if rumors about political money prove accurate. Agent Robert Walsh leads the investigation team. 20-year veteran specialized in organized crime and major theft cases. Experience with professional burglars, bank robbers, and interstate criminal networks. Methodical approach emphasizing physical evidence over witness testimony. Codename: Operation Laguna. The team includes explosives experts, forensic specialists, surveillance technicians, and administrative analysts. Resources allocated for extended investigation because media attention and potential political implications demand results. Crime scene photographed from every angle. Blast pattern measured and documented. Tool marks cataloged on pried boxes. Residue samples collected for laboratory analysis. Fingerprint powder applied to all surfaces despite obvious cleanup efforts. Evidence reveals precision planning and professional execution. Single explosive charge, perfectly placed. Minimal collateral damage to surrounding structure. No random destruction or unnecessary violence. Work of specialists with engineering knowledge and demolition experience. No witnesses because crime occurred during dead hours when the area deserted. No alarms because the system was defeated before entry. No obvious suspects because the crew left no personal evidence. Investigation must rely on forensic analysis and pattern recognition. Laboratory examination identifies commercial dynamite types used in mining operations, available through construction suppliers across multiple states, but requires proper licensing and documentation. The list of authorized purchasers during the relevant time period includes hundreds of companies and individuals. Foam padding fragments show aircraft-grade acoustic material, specialized product with limited civilian applications. Manufacturers include defense contractors and aerospace companies. Sales records might reveal purchaser identity if material acquired recently. Rope fibers indicate mountaineering equipment sold through outdoor recreation suppliers. High-quality material designed for rock climbing and rescue operations. Distinctive weave pattern and material composition suggest specific manufacturer and product line. Tool marks on pried boxes match specific drill bits manufactured in Cleveland, sold through construction suppliers across Ohio and Pennsylvania. Metal shavings contain traces of Midwest steel alloys, geographic pattern pointing toward the Great Lakes industrial region. Even explosive residue analysis reveals chemical signatures consistent with Pennsylvania mining companies. Specific additives and stabilizers used by a limited number of manufacturers. Purchasing records might identify buyers if cross-referenced with other evidence. The Federal Crime Laboratory in Washington confirms preliminary findings. Professional job executed by experienced crew with access to specialized materials and equipment. Multiple evidence streams pointing toward Midwest origin. Suspects likely have military or industrial demolitions background. Media coverage intensifies public interest and political pressure. Television reports describe Perfect Heist and Crime of the Century. Newspapers compare it to Hollywood movies and famous historical robberies. Editorial writers demand increased bank security and federal action. Rumors about political money fuel conspiracy theories and speculation about Washington connections. The Nixon administration issues denial of any government funds stored in private bank vaults. Democratic Party leaders demand investigation of Republican campaign financing practices. Congressional inquiries launched into banking regulation and federal insurance programs. Oversight committees schedule hearings about bank security standards and law enforcement coordination. Political theater overshadows criminal investigation as election year approaches. Pressure mounts on the FBI to produce arrests and recover stolen money. Washington headquarters demands daily progress reports. Local media criticizes federal investigators for lack of visible results. The public expects quick resolution because television shows suggest criminals always get caught. But there are no witnesses, no alarms, no obvious suspects, no clear leads after 2 months of intensive investigation. 6 weeks pass without significant progress, despite hundreds of interviews and thousands of hours of analysis. Walsh's team interviews bank employees, construction workers, explosives dealers, anyone with access to materials used in heist. Every lead was investigated thoroughly. Every possibility is explored systematically. Every connection is examined for potential breakthroughs. Credit card records analyzed for unusual purchases of relevant materials. Hotel registrations checked for suspicious guests during the relevant time period. Airline manifests reviewed for travel patterns between Midwest and California. Vehicle rentals investigated for false identification usage. Criminal informants contacted throughout Ohio, Pennsylvania, and California. Known explosive experts questioned recent activities and associations. Professional thieves monitored for sudden wealth or unusual spending patterns. Nothing produces viable suspect identification. The trail was cold until they tried again. By May 1972, the crew returned to Ohio with millions in stolen cash. Success creates problems they never anticipated. Large amounts of currency require careful handling to avoid detection. Sudden wealth needs explanation for tax authorities and curious neighbors. They store money in basement hiding places, bank safety deposit boxes under false names and trusted relatives' homes, buy cars and property using cash payments that don't trigger federal reporting requirements, live better but not lavishly enough to attract attention. Amil Dinsio pays off old debts, helps family members with medical bills, and buys a house in a better neighborhood. Brother James quits the steel mill job, starts a small business with cash investment. Others make similar improvements in life circumstances without dramatic changes in lifestyle. But success breeds hunger for more wealth and validation of criminal skill. Age makes Amil impatient for a final retirement score. California money proves his methods work against modern security. One more job could guarantee luxury for the rest of life. He studies potential targets in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and nearby states. Banks with valuable vault contents but weaker security than California installation. Familiar territory where he understands local law enforcement capabilities and limitations. If California worked perfectly, Ohio would be easier. Known contacts for materials and information. Established relationships with fences and money launderers. Home advantage in understanding regional crime patterns and police procedures. The logic seems sound but ignores fundamental differences between operating in unfamiliar territory versus known environment. California offered anonymity among strangers. Ohio means neighbors, police who remember past arrests, FBI agents familiar with local criminal networks. Success demands repetition. Perfection requires validation. Pride precedes destruction. He targets First National Bank in Kent, Ohio. Same method, same tools, same crew. Modern building with vault similar to California installation. Roof access possible from adjacent parking structures. Security appears minimal during nighttime hours. Choice reveals fatal thinking. Professional criminals succeed by avoiding patterns that law enforcement can recognize. Repeating a successful method in different locations creates connections between separate crimes. Evidence from one case contaminates the investigation of another. Kent Bank serves college towns with a relatively wealthy customer base. Safety deposit boxes likely contain valuable contents. The local police department is small and understaffed. Federal response time is slower than major metropolitan areas. Apparent advantages that mask hidden dangers. They rented a house near the Target Bank in February 1973. Two-story colonial on Residential Street lined with similar homes. Middle-class neighborhoods where people know neighbors and notice unusual activity. Poor choice for a criminal base of operations. Moving trucks arrive at night carrying tools and equipment. Neighbors observe men working quietly, speaking little, avoiding casual conversation. Behavior unusual for typical new residents who introduce themselves and join community activities. One neighbor notes license plates from California on several cars parked at rental houses. Unusual detail in 1973, Ohio, where most residents never travel west of the Mississippi River. Memorable enough to mention in conversation with friends and family. Word spreads through small-town communication networks that don't exist in anonymous California suburbs. The neighbor mentions California plates to wife. The wife tells friends at church socially. Friends discuss with relatives who work for the city government. The police dispatcher hears a story from brother-in-law who attends the same church. Unusual license plates combined with secretive behavior of renters creates suspicion. Dispatcher recalls FBI bulletin about California bank robbery investigation. Call placed to Agent Walsh in Los Angeles. California plates, secretive behavior, proximity to bank, timing consistent with criminal crew seeking new target. Pattern matches intelligence from Operation Laguna investigation. Walsh authorizes surveillance by the local FBI office. Agents begin photographing houses, documenting vehicle movements, identifying occupants through telephoto surveillance. Evidence accumulates that links Ohio activity to California crime. During the practice session for bank vault entry, the crew tests explosives in the garage of the rental house. Same procedure used successfully in California. Measure charges, verify timing, calculate blast effects. Professional preparation that worked perfectly before. But the suburban garage isn't isolated like the Orange County practice site. Houses close together on residential streets. Windows face the garage from multiple directions. Sound carries farther in quiet neighborhoods without industrial background noise. A small blast shatters garage windows and sets off car alarms throughout the neighborhood. Explosion audible 6 blocks away in a community where unusual sounds attract immediate attention. Multiple residents call police to report suspicious activity. Kent police arrive within minutes. Find residue matching chemical signature from Laguna investigation. The FBI laboratory confirmed explosive composition months earlier. Instant connection between Ohio incident and California bank robbery. Inside, garage agents discover tools, foam padding, and notebook with measurements identical to California vault specifications. Handwriting matches samples from previous investigation. Tool marks on practice concrete correspond to marks found on Laguna safe deposit boxes. Forensic comparison confirms drill bits, explosive materials, and techniques match evidence from an unsolved California case. Laboratory analysis places the probability of coincidence at virtually zero. Same crew responsible for both crimes. Physical evidence leads to identification within days. Fingerprint on battery tape links Amil Dinsio to Ohio materials. Not from California evidence because the crew maintained perfect discipline during the original crime. But home territory made them careless with details. FBI computer databases, cross-reference airline bookings, car rentals, hotel registrations under false names used by crew. Pattern emerges showing 6 men traveling from Ohio to California in March 1972, returning in April. Same aliases used for Kent house rental. Federal financial surveillance reveals cash purchases, new cars, expensive items bought by men with modest, legitimate incomes. Evidence of sudden wealth without legal source. Lifestyle improvements coinciding with the California bank robbery timeline. Bank records show large safety deposit box rentals under false names. Cash deposits just under federal reporting requirements. Money laundering patterns consistent with professional criminal operations. Within a week, agents map the entire criminal network. Surveillance teams watch homes, businesses, family members throughout Ohio and Pennsylvania. Electronic monitoring of phone calls reveals criminal planning discussions. Search warrants prepared for simultaneous raids. Federal prosecutors review evidence for criminal charges. Media prepared for arrest announcements. Political pressure for quick resolution drives an accelerated investigation timeline. The men who beat the vault were undone by a garage door and a neighbor's call. June 15, 1972. Simultaneous FBI raids at 6 locations across Ohio and Pennsylvania. Coordinated operation involving 50 federal agents. Warrants served at 6 a.m. when suspects likely to be home and unprepared for resistance. Agents seize $500,000 in cash, gold coins from a California bank, and a complete set of tools used in both crimes. Remainder of stolen money hidden in locations never discovered despite extensive investigation. Amil Dinsio was arrested in the garage of his Youngstown home, calm and cooperative. 20 years of criminal experience teaches when fighting becomes counterproductive. Offers no resistance, provides no information, requests a lawyer immediately. Quote to arresting agents: "You got me. I was good while it lasted. No denials, no protests of innocence, no dramatic gestures. Professional criminal who understands when the game ends and consequences begin." Brother James attempts to escape through the backyard, but is tackled by agents positioned around the house perimeter. Standard FBI procedure for high-risk arrests. Every exit covered, every escape route blocked. Harry was found hiding in an attic with a bag containing gold coins stolen from a California bank vault. Physical evidence linking him directly to the crime scene. No possibility of claiming innocence when caught with marked stolen property. Ronald was arrested at girlfriend's apartment in Pennsylvania. Attempts to claim alibi, but contradicted by surveillance photographs and travel records. Electronic evidence proves presence in California during the relevant time period. Phil and Charles are taken to separate locations within hours. Both claim innocence despite being found with marked currency from California bank deposits. Serial numbers match the federal database of stolen money. Complete crew in custody within 12 hours. No violence, no shootouts, no dramatic confrontations. Professional criminals who surrender when evidence becomes overwhelming. Understanding that cooperation might reduce sentences, crew members initially deny knowing each other. Standard criminal defense strategy: no conspiracy charges possible if no association is proven. Each man claims individual innocence and lack of knowledge about others' activities. FBI counters with surveillance photographs from California motels showing crew members together. Hotel desk clerks identify faces from lineup procedures. Rental car agents recognize voices from recorded phone calls. Credit card receipts trace movement of all 6 men across 2,000 miles during identical time periods. Electronic trail impossible to deny despite use of false identifications. Modern banking systems create permanent records. Under interrogation pressure, they begin turning against each other. Ronald confesses first, providing details about planning, execution, and money division. Claims they stole $9 million but spent half before arrests. James admits planning roles but attempts to minimize involvement. Blames Amil for leadership and decision-making. Hopes cooperation will result in reduced sentence recommendations from federal prosecutors. Harry provides specific details about vault entry procedures in exchange for plea bargain consideration. Describes roof access, explosive placement, safe deposit box contents, information only participants could know. Phil and Charles maintain innocence longer, but eventually acknowledge participation when confronted with overwhelming physical evidence. Fingerprints, financial records, and witness testimony eliminate reasonable doubt. Federal agents recover cash hidden throughout Ohio in walls, cars, attics, and safety deposit boxes. Bills match serial numbers from California bank deposit records. Gold coins identified by specific mint marks and years. Jewelry pieces described by original owners from safe deposit box inventory lists. Photographs show distinctive settings and engravings. Personal items impossible to dispose of through normal criminal fences. $5 million recovered through searches and asset seizure procedures. Substantial amount, but less than half of estimated theft total. Remainder never found despite years of investigation. Speculation continues about missing money locations. Some possibly buried in the California desert during the return trip. Some laundered through coin shops and antique dealers across multiple states. Some given to family members who relocated and changed identities. FBI interviews relatives and associates for years without success. Threat of obstruction charges fails to produce information about hidden assets. Code of silence maintained by criminal families and loyal friends. The perfect heist ended not with shootout or car chase, but with paperwork and plea bargains. Federal court in Los Angeles, 1973. The government transfers the case to California for trial because the original crime occurred in federal jurisdiction. Logistics are complicated but necessary for proper legal procedure. Charges filed: bank burglary, interstate transport of stolen property, conspiracy to commit federal crimes. Each count carries a mandatory minimum sentence under federal guidelines. No possibility of probation or suspended sentences. Evidence presented systematically over a 3-week trial. Expert witnesses explain explosive analysis, tool mark comparison, fingerprint identification procedures. Scientific testimony supported by physical evidence and documentation. Timeline constructed showing travel patterns, planning activities, execution sequence, and aftermath. Airline records, hotel registrations, credit card receipts create an unbreakable chain of evidence. The prosecutor builds a methodical case without dramatic flourishes or emotional appeals. Facts presented like engineering reports or scientific study. Professional presentation matching professional crime. Defense attorney argues lack of direct witnesses to actual bank entry. No one saw defendants at the crime scene during the relevant time period. Circumstantial evidence open to alternative interpretation. Claims possibility of frame-up by real criminals who planted evidence. Suggests FBI pressure created false confessions from frightened men. Reasonable doubt standard requires absolute certainty of guilt. Prosecution responds with overwhelming physical evidence, impossible to fabricate. Fingerprints on Ohio materials match tools used in California. Explosive residue identical between test site and bank vault. Money in defendant's possession carries serial numbers from bank deposit records. Gold coins bear mint marks corresponding to vault inventory. Personal items described by original owners. Travel records show the presence of all defendants in California during the crime timeframe. False identifications used consistently across multiple transactions. Pattern impossible to explain through coincidence. The jury deliberates 3 days before reaching unanimous verdict. Guilty on all counts for all defendants. Evidence too strong for reasonable doubt despite defense arguments. Federal conspiracy charges proven through coordinated planning and execution. Interstate transportation confirmed by travel evidence and recovery of stolen property in multiple states. Sentencing follows federal guidelines for major theft and conspiracy. Amil Dinsio received 20 years as a criminal leader and repeat offender. Brother James was sentenced to 15 years. Others received 10 to 12 years each. No parole eligibility until the majority of sentences are served. The federal system emphasizes punishment over rehabilitation during the 1970s. The public demands harsh penalties for professional criminals. None recover hidden money during incarceration. Prison interviews focus on the location of missing millions. All defendants maintain silence about remaining assets despite pressure from authorities. Financial investigators continue searching for hidden accounts and buried treasure. Metal detectors used in California desert areas. Bank records analyzed for suspicious transactions. Nothing discovered. Amil served 12 years, released 1985 with time off for good behavior. Parole conditions include regular reporting, employment verification, financial monitoring. Lives quietly, works construction jobs, avoids former associates, continues refusing to discuss missing money location. Maintains silence until death in 1998 without revealing secrets. Takes knowledge of hidden millions to grave despite family financial problems. Other crew members serve similar sentences with early release for cooperation. Most live ordinary lives after prison, working legitimate jobs and staying away from criminal activity. Some struggle with alcohol and personal problems. None ever found with unexplained wealth suggesting access to hidden money. Either assets remain hidden or were lost through poor planning and record-keeping during the chaotic aftermath of arrests. Press coverage creates lasting legend. Stories describe perfect heist that wasn't, and crime that almost succeeded. Television specials interview investigators, prosecutors, and prison officials. Documentary crews examine cases as examples of professional criminal planning, defeated by human ego and need for validation. Educational programs use stories to illustrate forensic investigation techniques. Crime became a template for later fiction films and novels. Hollywood adapts basic plot elements while changing details to avoid legal problems. Cultural impact exceeds immediate criminal significance. FBI Academy uses cases for training new agents. How professional criminals defeat security through planning and preparation. How success breeds overconfidence leading to capture. How physical evidence solves crimes without witnesses. Photographs of the blast site and recovered evidence displayed in law enforcement classrooms. A perfect circular hole cut through concrete demonstrates criminal engineering capability and determination. Investigation methods pioneered in case become standard procedures for major theft prosecution. Computer analysis of travel records and financial transactions. Forensic comparison of materials and tool marks. The myth of Nixon campaign money persists despite lack of evidence. Conspiracy theories continue in books and internet forums. Political connections never proven through investigation. Bank customers included ordinary citizens, small businesses, local professionals storing family valuables, and important documents. No government officials or political figures identified among safety deposit box renters. Federal investigation found no evidence linking vault contents to Washington politics or campaign finance violations. Stories about hidden political money remain unsubstantiated speculation. The original bank building still operates in Laguna Niguel under different ownership. Vault completely rebuilt with modern security systems. Roof repaired and reinforced against future attacks. Blast marks remain visible under paint and ceiling tiles. Employees know history and sometimes show damage to curious visitors. Local landmark representing famous unsolved mystery despite successful prosecution. The FBI archive maintains a complete case file, including photographs, evidence samples, and investigation records. Access restricted to law enforcement personnel and approved researchers. Case study used in criminology courses and law enforcement training programs. Example of how professional criminals operate and how modern investigation techniques achieve justice. They spent months studying the vault, weeks planning the blast, and minutes inside collecting millions. What they couldn't calculate was the human need to repeat success and prove superiority. Professional crime requires anonymous operation in unfamiliar territory. Returning to a known environment created connections law enforcement could recognize and exploit. Perfect crimes exist only until criminals make mistakes. Success breeds confidence that becomes carelessness. Pride demands validation that leads to capture. Case file label, your 72 UCB Laguna. Status, closed. Investigation completed, 1974. Funds recovered, partial. Location of remaining assets, unknown. Cold case files stored in federal facilities outside Los Angeles. Access restricted to authorized personnel only. Evidence preserved for historical and educational purposes. Investigation officially terminated, but files remain available for future reference.